Why I'll be making videos about Christian Weston Chandler. The purpose of this video is to act as my statement of intention, and to give context as to why I'll be making a video series about Chris Chan. I'm making this video because I plan to make future video essays and discussion videos on Chris Chan, and I feel that before I do, it's best to state my intention as to why I'll be doing so. This video will also serve to offer as a very brief background informational on who Chris Chan is. Anyone who's well seasoned on Chris Chan and his antics might not learn much from this video, but this is just a brief background informational. I'll be going into a lot more depth when I look at a lot more topics in future videos. Outlined in the following video is information about Chris Chan to give a little context as to who Chris is, and to give clear context as to why Chris Chan is my chosen subject for creating this video series. Before I go on to my main points, I'll simply say, I'm making these videos to delve into some topics that I think are relevant to Chris Chan's life, and I believe Chris Chan is a perfect candidate for a case study surrounding these topics. Who is Chris Chan? Chris Chan is one of the most documented individuals of all time. There has been more information collected and catalogued about Chris Chan than there has about most any historical figure. We live in the digital information age, and we're starting to catalogue information in incredible new ways. The digital information age has seen a decrease in the storage space needed to catalogue information to extents thought impossible by most just a generation ago. And then of course the internet has made cataloguing information easier than it ever has been in human history. But the internet and the digital information age are only contributing factors as to why there is so much known about Chris Chan. If it weren't for the internet, of course, very few people would know anything about Chris Chan. But the larger reason for Chris being so well known and so well documented is because many people find themselves fascinated with him, with his life, and with the people in his life. To give some context as to just how much information there is known about this person, the Quickie is an encyclopedic website dedicated to cataloguing information about Chris Chan, and it contains over 23,000 pages. This includes links and transcripts to just about every single available piece of video and audio directly pertaining to Chris Chan. A list of every shirt he's ever worn, as well as JPEG images of those shirts to act as a reference guide for which videos he's seen wearing those shirts in, as well as information on any other clothing he's been seen to wear. There's medical and financial records. There's thousands of leaked emails and instant messages. There's audio of private phone calls that were recorded and made public. There's leaked videos and pictures, as well as secret in-person recordings that were published online. Basically every single piece of information pertaining to Chris Chan, no matter how minute, is archived on the Quickie. So 23,000 pages, that is a lot. But to add greater context to that number, and to that volume of data, here's some information about another wiki. The wiki for The Walking Dead has just over 8,000 pages at the time of this recording. That includes art and information about every issue of the comics, information about every episode of that very popular show and its spin-off, information about all of the games related to The Walking Dead, information on just about every actor, voice actor, or artist credited in the works of any of the above listed items, It includes basically every single fact there is to know about one of the most popular shows of the last decade, which has featured multiple games and a spin-off. And the Chris Chan wiki has over double the amount of pages and content and information as it does. Chris Chan is arguably the most trolled individual ever. Everything bad that can happen to a person online has happened to this one person. He's been doxxed, catfished multiple times, trolled relentlessly, blackmailed, hacked, had online accounts held to ransom. He's been the subject of targeted harassment campaigns. He's had emails and sex tapes and illicit pictures leaked that I can't and won't show you here on YouTube. He's had every embarrassing moment of his life spread around the internet and immortalized there forever. Some of the most embarrassing moments of his life have even been republished by mainstream media broadcasters. Basically every form that trolling can take on, Chris Chan has experienced in his lifetime. And I'll be exploring all of those forms of trolling in further videos. Chris Chan has also done just about everything a person can do online. Chris has been publishing a webcomic on and off since 2005. He was making his own websites back in the 90s. He created one of the first modern Let's Play videos. Chris has been talking about his life in vlog style videos before most vloggers had any sort of presence on YouTube. He's tried internet dating only to be catfished, and of course to have his accounts catlogged. He's tried to use his online following to protest things he's disagreed with. Like many people try to do, Chris Chan has attempted to use the internet to reinvent himself to the world. He's tried to create numerous different virtual versions of himself across social media platforms. Chris Chan had an obsession with My Little Pony years before the rising of the Brony fandom. Many people refer to Chris Chan as the OG incel. Chris Chan isn't just some internet personality or celebrity. Chris Chan is the embodiment of the internet, and what a person can do on the internet, and what can be done to a person on the internet. Chris Chan is the main character of the internet, and we're all just NPCs here to witness the stories he creates and gets involved in. YouTuber Gibby once described Chris Chan as the main character of Earth. I agree with that statement. Truth is stranger than fiction. The story of this person's life, simply put, is fascinating. And not just Chris Chan, but everyone who has surrounded Chris, or who have been a part of the various chapters or sagas of his life, are in some way fascinating themselves. Chris Chan's life is so documented and has been so filled with various different seemingly unending events that his life has been divided into sagas. Over the years, people have created various timeline images to help show the sequence and overlap of these sagas. The most recent timeline image, as found on the Quickie, is scrolling center screen right now. There are so many strange stories within all of this that I simply do not have time to talk about them all here in this short video, but I do intend to delve deeper into the sagas in further videos. As I've stated, there is a vast compilation of knowledge on this person, and one thing I've learned from delving into it all myself is that if you watch anyone closely enough, you're going to see some truly bizarre things happen. Truth is greater than fiction. Stories, good stories that is, have a narrative. They have conclusions and closure, They have bright moments even in the darkest of tales. They have structure and order and intent behind their creation. They have authors with vested interest in seeing loose ends tied up. However, Chris Chan's life isn't fictional. It's real. Characters are simply definable under terms like heroes and villains, but people are far more complex, and life is far more chaotic. Chris Chan's life is filled with darkness and pain, and if it were a story, it would not be a happy one. But it's history. Christory, if you will, and we can all learn from it. As the true and honest Abe Lincoln once said, Christory is doomed to repeat itself, lest we as a people are prepared to learn from it. Learning from Christory. As great as fiction can be at teaching us life lessons, helping us to grow as individuals, and helping us to experience new and profound feelings that we might not have experienced otherwise, it is my personal opinion that no piece of fiction is superior at teaching us about morality, psychology, internet culture, society as a whole, the human condition, and man's inhumanity to man, as the life and sagas of Chris Chan can teach us about those topics. On the subject of opinion, I intend on telling Christory with objectivity to the best of my ability, but I do also intend on giving my opinion from time to time. I'll be sure never to give my opinion as fact, and I will be sure always to give the full facts before stating my opinion. I will include any facts I think are relevant, and I won't omit any facts based on any sort of narrative I want to create or based on my own opinions of those facts. I'll also try not to inject my morality into things too much. It's not my place to judge people. Shit can get really dark when it comes to Christory, and I don't really think there's a lot to be gained from me trying to place my own moral values over past events. On the subject of morality, personally I don't believe that people are inherently good or bad at their core. I think people are capable of doing horrible things, and amazingly horrible things. But I don't think people are either good or bad. I think people are complicated. I don't think a person can offset all the harm they do in their life just by donating to charity, but I don't think a single bad action defines a person as being evil for the rest of their lives, before and after the fact. Most people, no matter how well adjusted, if pushed far enough, are capable of doing things they might not otherwise do if they weren't pushed to their breaking point. Given the right circumstances and enough pressure from external sources, we are all capable of amazing things and horrendous acts of inhumanity. Sanity can be broken. In many people, sanity is a very fragile thing, and anyone will snap if they're broken hard enough. I don't think that circumstances always justify behaviour, and I don't think that sanity being broken can always fully justify the things people do as a result, but I do think examining those circumstances can help to understand those actions, and I think a greater understanding of what led to these horrendous acts can help us evolve as a culture. I think that more often than not, discussion of these topics is one way to help vulnerable people. And I think that studying these topics I've mentioned in this video is vital to our progress as a culture. I mentioned man's inhumanity to man earlier, and I think that's a highly relevant topic when it comes to discussing Chris Chan and his life. People do horrible, unspeakable things to one another, sometimes for reasons we can't fully empathise with or understand. And in further videos, I'll be delving more into this, and the other topics I've discussed so far in this video. As I've stated, I don't think doing something abhorrent instantly makes a person bad or evil. I think that's far too simplistic, and I think deciding someone is evil can close all discussion on their actions, on their motives, and on their reasoning behind committing these acts. and I wholeheartedly believe that closing all discussion is the opposite of progress. An analogy I often use for Chris Chan's life is describing it as an infinity train constantly derailing forever. You know, sometimes you'll just say to your friends, "Hey, do you want to go look at the infinity train derailing forever?" And they look back at you with a shocked look on their face and say, "No, why would I do that? That sounds horrible." And you'll say, "Because it's an infinity train, derailing forever. I need to know, is it going to keep derailing forever? Is it going to right itself somehow? Is it truly going to be going forever? I need answers." So you go and you sit in the hill and you look at the infinity train, derailing forever in its infinitely chaotic nature, and you think to yourself, wow, isn't life crazy?